Okay, my name's Rhonda Mathew. I'm 69. I was born in England. We emigrated to Australia in 1963. I was 12, obviously, at the time. And after quite a few moves in Adelaide, oh, by the way, I had 3 brothers and 3 sisters. And after about a year of moving around Adelaide, when we came over, we moved down to the southeast in a timber mill town called Mount Burr. And that was 7 miles from Millicent. And my story starts there, actually. So, yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the time frame of that event. And what did you specifically witness?
What I witnessed. Well, okay. It happened to be a very hot summer, 1965, approximately December. I remember that because we were must have been on school holidays. Otherwise, I was 14 at the time. I was actually in high school at Millicent High School, but we must have been on holidays, and it was a stinking hot day. And I decided, being 14 and really grown up, I decided I wanted to go swimming. But we were miles from the swimming pool. So my brother was with me, my younger brother, at the time 7 years old, and another neighbour's child. I'm not sure, I can't remember her age. She was probably about 7, 8, something like that. And I decided, like, let's hitch a ride. Let's go hitchhiking a ride to Millicent to go to the swimming pool. Stupid me, of course. I thought I was really grown up, you know. Anyway, so we started walking down the road. Now, Mount Burr, as I said, is a timber mill town. It's very small. One road, in and out, like in and out, one road. So we started walking off towards Millicent. We didn't get very far, just on the outskirts of Mount Burr. And a car pulled up, and a chap in the car on his own asked us if we wanted a lift. And I, of course, thought, oh yeah, we could have a lift. And I said, yeah, okay. So I hopped in the front seat, and the 2 children, my brother, 7, and the other child, can't even remember her name, hopped in the back. And he said, where are you going? Millicent, to the pool. He said, oh, okay, I can take you there. So we set off, and we didn't get very far, a few hundred yards maybe down the road towards Millicent. And he said, oh, I hope you don't mind. I've got to go and pick some wood up for my mum for the cooking, because in those days, we're talking 1965. We all had wood stoves, the old wood stoves. That's the only way you could cook. So you had to have wood. And I thought, oh yeah, that's reasonable. So he said, I'll just go and collect some wood. So he pulled off the road, off the main road going to Millicent. Pulled off, went up a side road. Then he went left. And he opened a gate to go into the pine forest.
Do you remember the colour of the car?
Yes, I do believe it was an FC Holden. I remember it was, I think, pale green, and it had a dark panel over the back wheel. And I believe it was an FC.
Do you remember the colour of the fence?
It was a wrought iron type farmer's fence, you know, one of the old fence.
Any particular traits for the gentleman in the car?
All I can remember about him, because I didn't actually look at his face full on, he had dark hair, and he was possibly between 25 and 30 years old. But that's it. I don't remember anything about him apart from that. And so, yeah. So he was white. He was in his Aussie. Yeah, Caucasian. Okay. No, Aussie. No, Aussie. That's it. Yeah. Didn't take a lot of notice at all. I was sat on the passenger seats, and he was driving, so obviously I didn't see his face full on. And I think I was a bit too shy to even look at him, really. But he did ask me a question on the way. He said, well, how old are you then? Who's the oldest? And I said, Oh, I am. I'm 14.
And this is where he picked you up
This was after I got in the car.
after the car.
Yeah. So, okay. So we get to this gate, and he opened the gate, and we drove in. He shut the gate, and he drove up into a fire track. He drove into the fire break between the forest trees, the pine forests.
Yeah.
And he kept driving up, and I was a bit aware that we were leaving civilization at the time. And we drove up, and the fire track was a little bit undulated. And we kept driving until we were out of view of the road or any other houses. And then he stopped the car. And he said, right. He said, well, you can come and help me, he said to me. And I said, okay, no worries. The children were in the back. I said, come on, come and get out and help, come with her. He said, no, they can stay in the back seat. They can stay there, I don't need them. I said, okay. So then he went to the boot. He went to the boot of the car. And he lifted the boot and he took out a rope that was threaded through a white pipe, probably about, maybe that long, quite long. But the rope was through it for some reason, like a loop through this hollow pipe. And then he picked out a little hatchet type chopper thing. So it wasn't very big. And I can't remember, trying to remember if he had a container to put whatever in it, wood or something, but I can't even remember that. So I can't swear by that. So he picked these things out of the boot, and he started walking off into the forest, away from the car, and I was following him. He said, come on, and I followed him. You've got to remember I was 14 at the time. I didn't have a clue, but anyway, I went along with it for a while. And he kept walking into the forest, away from the car, and kept going. And I kept looking back to see the car, and I kept walking, but I kept a few paces behind him. For some reason, I really didn't want to go ahead of him. I had a bad feeling. I started to get a bad feeling. And I didn't want to walk in front of him because I thought that could be really dangerous. I don't know why. So I kept behind him.
So your instincts kicked in?
Instincts were kicking in. And yeah, nothing felt right. Something started to not feel right. And eventually I kept looking back, and eventually I lost sight of the car and the children. So
when did you discover that you were in danger?
I think at the time when I couldn't see the car anymore, and he kept walking, and he kept looking back to make sure I was behind him, and then very suspicious. And I think that's when the fear took over, and I had this really bad intuition feeling that this isn't right. This is really not right. I've got to get out of here. And when I felt that, I actually slowed down my pace, and I tried to make the distance between us a bit more distance, because I knew that I was a bit close. So if I slow down and get the distance a bit further apart, I can get away.
And he particularly asked for you?
Yes.
The 3 children?
He did. He asked for me. He didn't want the children there. He didn't want them to come. It's just me to go and help him pick this wood up, which I thought, yeah, at first I just went along with it. I didn't think anything until I started walking through this. No one knew where I was. No one would have known where I was.
One of the reasons for this interview is that is not normal behavior for somebody to pick up children in the street, go away from the city, out of town, on a detour to collect wood, which is highly suspicious.
Well, it is now. In retrospect, looking back, and also knowing about another incident with other disappeared children.
And that was in the same time frame?
It was. This happened to me in 65, end of 65, and the other 3 children went missing in January 66. And they've never been found.
In what month did this occur?
My experience, I believe, was in December during the school holidays. And it was 1966 when the other 3 children disappeared from Adelaide. Right, now I'm in Mount Burr at this time when this happened, which is about 400 kilometres southeast of Adelaide. In retrospect, I realise now that it was very suspicious what was going on when he, with me, and the 2 children, and he only wanted me to go into the forest. And the reason I now have thought that it's suspicious and dangerous is because I've learned later on in life that within 2 months of this happening to me, 3 other children went missing in Adelaide, and they are the Beaumont children, very well known. That was 1966. When it happened to me, it was 1965 in about December. Okay. So I'm distancing myself from him, slowly slowing down my pace behind this man, because I'm in fear now. I'm really in fear now. Got red flags and all that bad feelings. And I didn't talk to him. I just turned around and I thought, I've got to get out of here. And I turned around and ran back to the car. And he followed me. He didn't run back. I don't think he ran after me. I'm not sure. He might have easily grabbed me. He could have if he didn't grab me. But anyway, I got back to the car. I quickly opened the back doors, got the kids out and ran.
Looked over the shoulder to see where he was?
He was behind me. And I looked back, he was coming. And we were running down the track back to the main road.
Yep. So when you ran away, he was still walking forward, and then the time he noticed, you were already...
No. By the time I got the kids out of the car, he was and running. So I'd got a little bit. We had got a bit away from the car. He would have reached the car, got in the car, and he must have turned around. And then he came driving down and followed us down the track.
And you guys ran into the forest?
No, we didn't run into the forest. We ran out of the forest.
Out of the forest, but on the main road?
It was a dirt road. The track. We're still on the track. The dirt track between the trees. We're running down the track towards the gate that we'd come in. The car had come through the gate. And halfway down the hill to the gate, he caught up with us in the car, and he had his window down. He said, "Oh, it's okay. You don't have to be afraid. I'll take you to wherever you want to go." I was hysterical at that point. And my brother, 7-year-old, he remembers this. He remembers all of this. I've spoken to him recently about it. He can completely remember what I remember without any, input really. He just knows, he remembers it, because he said I cried. He was in tears. He said he was in tears too, but at the time I was so hysterical I didn't notice that he was in tears, but he remembers being in tears. And anyway, he called us up halfway down the track. He asked us if we wanted to go with him, and I said no. We just kept running. I was hysterical. Got down to the gate, got through the gate, and then we were on the bitumen. I think it was a bitumen road, the side road. And and he took off. That was what happened. So, what brings this to my mind now? Every time I hear about the Beaumont children, it triggers my memory. I was so traumatized. I think that's kept with me. That's why it's kept with me, because of the Beaumont children. Because I often think, my God, what could have happened if I didn't realize and run? What would have happened? What was that rope for? What was that pipe for? What was that tomahawk axe thing for? What was he going to do? Was he just going to collect wood? I don't know.
Okay, so now we'll just go into a little bit more detail regards those incidents.
Yeah.
So when you were making your way down, do you remember any landmarks or signs along the street?
No.
And it was specifically just on the outskirts of
Mount Burt. We hadn't left the town completely. There was still a few houses on the left when the car pulled up to ask us if we wanted to lift. But then he drove out to the edge, and then just after the village itself, the outskirts of Mount Burt, he went a little bit further and then turned left onto another side road. And there was a house on the right. I remember that. There was a house on the right. It was the only house there on this little side road. And that was opposite the gate. And then, as I said, the gate was there. It was shut. He got out and opened the gate. And then he drove in. Do you know, I can't remember if he'd shut that gate or not behind us. But he drove in, and then he drove up into the fire track, up into the forest.
And that forest is very hidden. It was away from the public eye.
The forest was, you could see it for miles but from the roads, but you couldn't see up the fire track.
Yeah, and that house couldn't see any...
The house would have had a view of the fire track, the road, but not once you got so far in, you wouldn't see anything at all. You wouldn't see a car. You would not see a car.
Specifically drove in on purpose.
Oh, yeah, drove in, away so the house could not see the car. I know that. It was too far up.
And let's describe the car a little bit more detail.
Yeah, I still believe, and I've always believed it was an old style Holden. I mean, we're talking 1965. The car would have been between 1959 and 1960, say 63 maybe. I've looked at photos of cars of that era, and the one I come up with all the time is an FC Holden, two-tone. They were built. That's how they were built, with a dark section over the back wing and the back wheel, and it was a light colored car with a darker section over the back wheel and back wheel and the wing, the back wing.
And it was four-door.
Four-door,
Yep.
definite four-door.
Okay. And when he was pulling out the tools from the car, from the trunk, you noticed your brother.
No, I've spoken to my brother since a few times, and he distinctly remembers and I didn't know this till he told me, he distinctly remembers when I got out of the car and the driver got out of the car and went round and opened the boot. My brother was in the back seat. He turned around and looked through the gap. There was a gap between the top of the back seat and the bottom of the boot, the back end of the boot. So when he opened the boot, there was a gap. And my brother was looking through the gap into the boot to see what he was doing. And he saw what he brought out of the boot. He saw the pipe, the rope, and the axe thing. He saw that.
And did you guys see that from the back of the seat?
How could I? I was at the back of the boot. I was outside the car. I was around the back watching this driver, watching him getting it out. I watched him get it out. Sat in the back. The other child was a girl.
And she was also Caucasian?
Yes, yes.
Dark hair?
No, she was more fair, blondie.
Blonde.
Yeah.
And your brother, what colour hair did he have?
Brown, dark brown.
And you were blonde. So my understanding is you were in the front, your brother was in the back with
the other child.
And then he turned around and asked you, let's get some firewood.
On the way, he didn't actually say that until we got in the car on the main road. Before he turned off, he said, I need to go and get my mum some firewood. Is that all right with you guys or with you? And I said, oh, okay then. I didn't know where he was going to go for this firewood, but then he said, oh, good. Then he kept driving a little bit, and that's when he turned left off the main road.
Like a little bit, like how many minutes?
Oh, very short time, maybe a minute.
Yep. And then he parks the car. You obviously got out, opened the gate, and then you drove in.
Yes.
And then he got back out of the car. And that's when he asked you to get back out of the car.
Yeah. When he stopped the car up the track, he said to me, come on, you can come and help me.
Yep, and that's when you got out.
I got out, And I said to the kids, come on, you two. And he said, no, leave them there.
Yeah, and that's when your brother saw.
Yes. He turned around to see what was happening in the back of the car.
And you drew a picture of the rope and
yes, and that's
show the camera that.
Yes, I see this in my mind's eye. So white thin pipe, don't know why, but white thin tube, pipe, metal pipe.
Oh, metal pipe.
Metal. Like, yeah. And a rope that was going through it.
Do you remember the size of that pipe?
I would say now, looking back, I would say it would have been about 3 foot, maybe.
And the rope?
Oh, I don't know how long the rope was. I just quickly glanced at it, really. It was just a white rope, white as well, threaded through. I don't know how long it was. Can't estimate, really. Probably, I'll try and guess, approximately maybe 4 feet.
Was it
maybe
like a plastic type of rope, or was it
no
traditional rope?
Traditional white.
Weaves together?
Yeah, traditional. I think it was white rope. I have to think about white rope. It was a white pipe.
Yeah, we should be more apparent with these answers, like no think, just no.
Yeah, no. I can't swear by whether it is a white rope or a rope, like a normal rope. In those days, rope's different to what it is now. It's made of like
a thick type of rope?
No, because the pipe was quite thin.
But it's strong enough to hold a weight of the body.
I've got no idea. I can't guess that. Sorry, it's a guess.
Let's describe the axe.
Well, all I can remember is what I've drawn here. That kind of a little tomahawk type, which you would use sometimes to chop little bits in the day. You to chop kindling. So you'd get a log and you'd chop kindling, and that's a kind of little axe you would use in those days. It wasn't a big axe. It was a little hand-held with a wooden handle.
So that puzzles me, because if you're collecting wood,
yeah,
you need a stronger axe than that.
Well, yeah, because in those days, I look at it this way. I used to collect wood for our fire at home. We'd pick up a lot of pine cones, because that was the best kindling in those days, were pine cones. We didn't necessarily need to chop wood.
Okay.
But, yeah, I don't know what he was intending on doing.
Okay, because for wood, you need something a lot larger.
Yeah.
That's enough to strike some damage, that's for sure. And you don't remember the colours of those tools?
Oh, they're just normal wooden handled thing with a metal blade, blade.
And no specific brands you can see?
No. I would never have looked at a brand. No. I was 14.
Exactly. And that's when you, like, let's go back to the point when you guys split and he got in his car. Did he drive back towards the town when you guys were walking?
Do you know what? I don't know which way he went. He overtook us and out the road, and he took off. I didn't take any notice. I was in tears. I was hysterical.
And you were obviously walking back to the town. Yeah,
we didn't carry on where we were initially going. We went back. I was so traumatized. All I wanted to do was go home. And I got home. We got home. I don't remember walking home, but we must have got home, and we never spoke about it again. My parents didn't know about it, never spoke about it, because I thought I'll get into trouble for hitchhiking, which, by the way, I wasn't actually putting my thumb out to hitchhike either. I never did that. He just pulled up and asked us if we wanted a lift.
Wow. Okay. And nobody since the time of 1965 has heard this story?
I did actually talk to someone not so long ago, a group of people, and yes, I did actually talk to them, but we've never recorded it, we've never filmed it, nothing. So, yeah.
And that group of people was
Do you want me to tell you about that?
I think that's, we've exhausted all the other options, so now I guess we can get into you talking about the relation between the Bowman children and that lady of...
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, there's a parallel there. As I said about, it's only in retrospect and since hearing about the Beaumont children and how they went missing only a couple of months after this happened to myself and my 2 other children, that the similarities are so convincing to me that is there a connection or is there not a connection? But every time I hear the Beaumont story come up, because it comes up all the time, every few years there's something on TV about the Beaumont children, and the fact that the Beaumont children were 3 children that got picked up and disappeared forever. They've never been found, that it's never been solved, that's mystery. But having said that, I have listened to a video of Rachel Vaughan, who also is looking in, trying to find, get a solution to the Beaumont children, because she's very connected to the Beaumont children. Her father was involved in that disappearance of the children and all. It's a big story. The whole of Australia knows about the Beaumont children. Maybe not the younger generation so much, but we all, my age, we all know about it. Anyway, I've recently actually listened to a video. She's also a member of one of the associations that I'm associated with. So I've been in touch with her. I've tried to connect with her to see if she has any other information. But although she wasn't born at the time that the Beaumont children went missing, she may have other information, perhaps. But I'm not saying it's my story is connected, but it just seems awfully close in the time frame.
And location.
Location is still relevant, even though the Beaumont children went missing in Adelaide, the city, or Glenelg actually. And this happened to me down in the southeast. That distance is nothing, these days. If a guy is out there to do harm to kids, they can do it anywhere. And who knows if it's anything to do with it. I'm not saying it is, but it just, I can't get rid of that feeling that there is some connection.
And that's why it's so important to get this out there.
It could be, it could be the thing that breaks the case.
The smallest detail could really break
the
case.
So, I've always felt a need to talk to someone about this. And, I think the frightening thing is the thought of what could have happened to me and the children. That is like that, just the thought of that is just a shiver, just, oh my God. I was in such a dangerous place, and I got out of it. I got away, because I don't know what his intentions were.
When you were in the car, he was stating, let's go collect some wood, wood for my mum.
Yes.
Did he have any other conversation, small talk?
Just asked me how old I was. He said, oh, who's the eldest? That's right. Who's the eldest? And I said, I am. I'm 14. Yeah. Oh, that's all he said. Oh, okay.
Okay. And was he looking at you when he was asking that?
I think he glanced over when I answered, but, that's the feeling I get, is you just glanced over.
You said you felt like a bit of a dangerous situation when you were outside of the car. Did you feel a bit something wasn't right when you were sitting next to him?
I do remember thinking at the time, I hope this is... I can't, not really, I guess in a way, I think I did feel, well, this could be unsafe, but I didn't go with it. I just ignored that.
Because when he asked you who's the oldest or how old are you, he was looking at you first.
Yeah.
So he was obviously, all eyes on you. His intention.
Yes, he was, actually, yeah. He wasn't sort of interested in the kids at the back at all.
He was more interested in you.
Oh, yeah, definite.
So from the beginning, it appears that he was obviously sussing you out.
Definitely,
And
yes.
that's why he wanted to separate
Yes.
you from
Perhaps.
the
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
which was highly suspicious.
Mm.
When he was in the car, was he looking at his mirrors a lot?
No, I don't know. I didn't notice at all. Yeah.
Was he driving with one or two hands?
Two.
Two hands. You remember that? And was the doors locked or?
No, I don't think he locked them, because in those days, those old cars, you didn't have central locking.
Oh, of course. Was the windows up or down?
Up, I believe, up.
Okay. And the windows of the cars was tinted or?
No, just normal, I believe. Yeah.
No cracks in the windows?
Not to my, I don't remember seeing any cracks.
The vehicle made any funny noises?
No.
Looking at you first and asking you, that was very, very interesting there.
I think that one of the first time I felt a little bit cautious and a bit suspicious, I think, was when he said, "No, leave the children in the car, just you." That sort of was the first inkling to me that this could be very, like, a bit dangerous.
It's a red flag.
It was a red flag, and yeah, exactly. And as I said, kindling in those days, we used to just pick up pine cones. They're brilliant for kindling. So we could have all picked up pine cones.
When you were walking along that main road and he pulled up, he spoke to you first.
He pulled up. I was nearest the road, I believe. The two children were on my left, so yes, the car's here and I'm here. Yeah, spoke to me.
And did you notice him when he was driving past? He was looking at you, or he was slowing the car down?
No, didn't see him drive past. He just drove up from behind me and stopped.
Okay, and he got out of the car, or
No.
did he yell from the window?
Yeah, he just talked through the window. Like, he might have had that down. He couldn't have had that down, I don't think. But he did say, "Do you want a lift?" And so, yeah, he spoke through the window, through the passenger side window to me, and I was standing there. And he said, "Hi, do you want a lift? Where are you going?" or something. "You want a lift?" And of course, I'm thinking I'm grown up. I'm 14. I knew everything. I said, "Oh, yeah." So we all got in the car.
Did you get closer to where you wanted to go?
No.
Big detour, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, we didn't get out of, really. We
When you
didn't.
were in the car, did you notice that it was a column shifter, wasn't
It was a column shift. Yes, definitely a column shift. Yeah.
And you don't remember what he was wearing?
No, not a clue.
Like long pants?
Yeah, well, yeah, I can say long pants in those days.
Jeans?
Good question. Don't know. Long pants. Can't swear about the top. All I know is he was Caucasian with dark hair.
And he wasn't wearing a singlet, of course.
No, he wasn't wearing a singlet, a shirt.
Short.
Some kind
short
of a
sleeve?
Don't remember. Because there could have been, it was stinking hot there. He might have had a shirt on with rolled up sleeves. He might have had a shirt on, like, short sleeve cotton shirt. Honestly, don't remember.
What was the weather like?
Hot.
Like the temperature wise?
Oh, 40?
40.
40 degrees. It was stinking.
And that's why the kids wanted to go.
I wanted to go swimming, and I decided I want to go to Millicent, to the swimming pool.
And how far away is Millicent from?
7 miles.
It's only 7 miles.
Yes.
Okay.
But there's nothing between Mount Burt and Millicent. It's all country.
Country back in that day.
Yeah.
There's a lot of farms along the street.
There would be farms, and I know there's Mount Muirhead. I think it's called Mount Muirhead, a little type of a hill that they call Mount Muirhead on the right-hand side as you're going to Millicent. I remember that.
Did you have shoes on?
Oh, yeah, I would have had shoes on.
Kids have shoes as well?
Yeah, we all had shoes on.
Did you bring towels?
It could have been thongs. I don't remember carrying towels.
You don't remember carrying anything?
No, I don't. It's bizarre. What possessed me even to think that I could get to Millicent and go to the pool? I have no idea. No.
Yes.
No.
Tough question.
And I wonder where my parents were that day as well, because I obviously didn't ask them permission to go to the pool.
And how did you get in contact with the other girl that was with you?
The child that was with us.
Yes.
I imagine she was just one of the kids from the primary school that used to hang out near us. It was such a small town, everybody knew everybody, but I don't remember her name. I believe from memory, I think, to be honest, she was a daughter of a Dutch family, but I don't remember her name.
So she was roughly your
Brother's age, roughly, yeah. He was 7 to 8. He would have been 8, I think, in January, but it was December, so he was 7, nearly 8 at the time.
Being 7 or 8 years old, you would have a pretty decent memory for such an event. So definitely.
Sometimes.
Asking
He can verify my story. No worries. We spoke about it about 3 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. After I saw the video of Rachel Vaughan talking about the Beaumont children, it triggered my memory, and I wanted to phone my brother and ask him about his memory, and he completely remembers how I remember it.
Okay, so this interview is adjourned, and we will possibly interview your brother, and that will be a interesting interview because that will do a cross-examination between the two.
Sure.
And link it up to other sources.
Sure.
Relevance.
Okay.
So thank you so much for
Uh-huh.
coming on.
Oh, you're welcome.
Your time in
You're welcome.
It's such a big thing to, like, a fresh breath of air just to release, get that out there.
Get it out there. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's relevant, but I feel the coincidences are too. I can't ignore the coincidences and the parallel of the two stories, the 3 children going missing, and then us 3 being taken in the car somewhere in a forest. That is just freaks me out every time I think about it. I get goosebumps. It's like, oh, I was so close. I don't know. I might not be here today. Who knows if I didn't run.
I believe that you did the right move, and this video is such a big video for a lot of people who should be aware, like, these situations do occur. Like, of course, we are just so, world, but they do happen, and they need to be aware.
They happen more today than I think in the 60s, when everything was so innocent in the 60s. The thought of being abducted in those days was just the last thing you'd ever think about, in my view. I knew it was wrong to hitchhike, but I didn't actually put my thumb out and hitchhike. Anyway.
If anybody would be watching this video in the future, if that may lead to that, what kind of message would you put out there for perhaps other
children? Oh, absolutely. You don't hitchhike, and you certainly don't get in the car with one man or 2 men, or any man, especially. You just don't do it. I mean, that was a silly thing to do, but yeah, just don't do it. You just don't do it. It's I think 14-year-olds today are a lot more worldly than I was at 14. I was very naive. To clarify the timeline for this incident, I remember it well because I've worked it backwards from when I started work in September or early September 1966. We were back in Adelaide at that time. We'd moved back from Mount Burr in 1966. This incident happened the previous year during the school holidays in December, the December big break. That's how I know that it happened in 1965, December. That's the timeline
Okay. Just one more thing. When you met up those children in that, was it an afternoon or was it a morning or lunch?
Good question. Can't be sure. Late morning, maybe.
Late morning. And it happens, you were with your brother at home
Yes.
and your family
And
was out?
I don't know where the family were. I don't recall any of my family being there, even though I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters. I don't remember where they all were. I don't remember where my parents were or how I managed to even do that and go anywhere without talking to my mother. So I don't know where my mother was.
Okay, so it was just you and your little brother.
My little brother and a friend. Now that friend must have come around to play with my brother or with me. I don't remember. Yeah. My brother seems to remember. He's got a different memory of the third person. He's always believed, for some reason, the third person was my younger sister, who is only a year younger than me. So she would have been 13, but I don't remember. It wasn't my sister. I'm totally 100% sure it wasn't my sister.
Do you know where your sister is now?
Now?
Yep.
Yes.
Do you believe that? Does it really clarify that one?
You can't with her because she's got Alzheimer's.
Oh, wow.
And she lives in WA.
Wow, okay.
My brother lives in Adelaide.
Yep.
So that can still be clarified. And you can get his memory. So he's not sure now whether it was our sister, but I'm sure it wasn't my sister. Yeah.
Okay, and that little girl was
Yes.
living in the same area
Yes.
and in the same neighborhood?
Yeah.
Like a few houses?
Yeah, just a few houses. It's a small town.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's very popular for the kids to go to the swimming hole.
No, I wouldn't say that.
It's not
No,
popular at all.
no, not to. I don't know if it's popular. All I know is that the Mount Bird didn't have a swimming pool, and so we had to, if we wanted to go swimming, we had to go to Millicent.
Was Millicent a swimming pool or was it a...
It was a town.
Oh, it was a town.
It's a big town.
Big town, and it was a swim, like a man-made swimming pool?
It would have been just an ordinary every-door swimming pool. Not in the garden swimming pool. It would have been a proper public swimming pool centre. Yeah. And I don't even know how I expected to get into the pool because you did need to pay to go into swimming pools. I didn't have any money on me. I've got no idea what I was thinking at the time.
So charming, get in there.
I don't know. Maybe climb under the fence.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm sure they'll... Yeah.
So that's how, anyway. So getting back to, yes, the timeline is dead set in my mind. It was December 1965 and we returned to Adelaide in about early September 1966. And the Beaumont children went missing in January 66. Yeah.
Just one more thing. What was the age of the man, you believe?
I believe between, all I can guess is between, say, 25, 30. 25 to 30-ish.
Did he have a beard or?
No, he was clean shaven.
He was clean shaven.
Yeah, from memory. Yeah.
Brown hair.
Brown hair, dark brown hair.
His eyes?
No, don't know. Never saw his, didn't look into his eyes.
Very distant he was.
Yes.
Okay. So when he spoke to you on the front seat, he was kind of like...
I was looking out the front window, really, and he was, there.
Slightly glancing at you.
I think he glanced at me, like I said, after he asked me who the oldest was, and I said, I'm the oldest, I'm 14. He might have said, how old are you? No, I think he said, who's the oldest? No,
Just
no.
one quick thing. Do you remember him glancing at the back, looking at
No,
the children?
not at all. Don't
So-
remember that.
So remember him glancing at you a few times?
I just remember once when he said, who's the oldest? And when I spoke, he sort of quickly glanced at me. That was it.
Did you ever remember his body language? Was he leaning to one side? Or
No, seemed to be, very casual.
Very casual.
Yeah.
One more apparent thing that just came to mind was he wearing any jewelry?
Didn't notice any jewellery or tattoos, no.
No watches, nothing. Earrings.
Ah, gosh, you're pushing it now. Because I can assume he had a watch on. Because I think in those days most people had watches because they didn't have phones like we've got now.
Did you ever notice him looking at his watch?
No.
When
No.
When you guys got out of the car, did he ever look at the road or at the gates of entrance?
No.
And just one more thing, how was he holding those tools?
I believe he had the pipe and the rope and the axey thing in one hand. Very casual. My brother might be able to give you more detail, but yeah, just casual. Holding it in one hand.
So both
handle
items in
and
one hand.
and the pipe with the rope hanging off it. Yeah. That was it, really. Nothing else came to mind.
If anybody else had to watch the video, what message would you give them so they don't put themselves in that situation?
Well, obviously, 14-year-olds or any children should never hitchhike, but I'd also give a message. The message is to the parents, actually, to educate your child not to hitchhike. Because I don't ever remember my mum and dad telling us never to hitchhike. They never did. So they didn't drum it into us to not hitchhike or not do that kind of thing. So I would say to parents now, and I'm sure most are aware, that you just don't let your kids hitchhike. And you've got to tell your kids, never hitchhike, never get in a car with a stranger, obviously.
You definitely dodged a bullet.
I feel that. Yeah, I do feel that, yeah. That's my message.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, you're all right.